how to optimize Facebook ads. Now, this is a skill everybody should have, and to be honest, almost everybody gets the vast majority of what you're supposed to do absolutely dead wrong. We're going to cover the 5 brilliant basics of everything that you need to know to scale results, save time, and make more money, and ultimately see more success and less stress with your Facebook ads. We're going to start with what is the number one mistake almost everybody makes? Why is it a bad idea? And ultimately, why is the one thing that you think you should be doing probably the reason that you're struggling to see stability and scale and confidence and ultimately grow your business? Plus, what are the things that you should be doing? So without any further ado, I'm super excited to dive into this. Let's get into it. How to optimize Facebook ads, the 5 brilliant basics that you absolutely need to know. Let's start off with this though to begin with. What is the number one thing that you're probably doing right now that everybody says you should probably do and is actually the reason why you are struggling day in, day out, why your account is not scaling, why your CPMs are getting higher and higher, why you're putting in more work to make less money and you are seeing less confidence and success with your business? I'll tell you what it is. You're scaling what works. Now, I hear you. Why is that a problem? Why is throwing more money at that good ad a bad idea? Why is chasing down that ad set and throwing more money at it? What about this campaign and throwing more money at it? Why is that a bad idea? I know it makes total sense, but in order to understand why that's a bad idea, we're going to have to go through the 5 things that you should be doing. But we can break it down to one simple teaser. If you have something that works, abusing it to the point where it doesn't work anymore isn't a good business model. The first thing that you need to be focusing on when optimizing your Facebook ad account is to focus on measuring the blend. What is your net average result? It's not about what one ad did for you or one ad set or one campaign. How is your entire account working? After all, performance doesn't come from any one investment. And if you were to ask any one investment to do all of the work, probably it's going to do it poorly. If you take an entire factory down to your one best employee and ask them to do all of the work for everything, you're probably going to fail. So we have to understand, if you have one good ad set and you 5x it and everything else gets worse and your blended average actually gets worse, you did a bad thing. And so they start chasing, well, what's the good thing? You start throwing money here and money over here. That is stealing from Peter to pay Paul. And ultimately, you're going to struggle chasing your tail and be no better off 6 months from now. Once we understand the blend, we have to focus on brilliant basic number 2. Remove bad choices. Really what this is about is removing your exposure to liability. Improve the quality of the total options that the Facebook algorithm can make on your behalf. Remember, you're not in control of every auction. You have very little control of where any dollar is going to get spent. You have no idea of where those impressions are going to go. So if you take away the worst ad from any ad set, the worst ad set from any campaign, the worst campaign from any account, ultimately what you're doing is basically cost averaging your way to better and better results. If you remove the choice of a bad option to be made, ultimately that means every option as a whole becomes on average better for your business. The third fundamental that we absolutely need to understand, and this might be the most important, is that data is power. Spending more money in fewer places makes those places stronger. Now, I just said don't spend all of your money on the best thing. That's absolutely right. Find the best place to give the system a blended set of choices to make on your behalf and invest as much as you can there. If you were to invest $100 in 10 places, every one of those places would be 5 times dumber than $500 spent in 2 places, because Facebook's a machine learning algorithm. And so if you poorly train a bunch of employees to work for your business versus investing in really training a couple of them very well, how good do you think your business is going to be? How many trusted winners do you want? And how much are you willing to invest in resources you're going to turn off tomorrow because they didn't do well for you and get lucky on day one? Now, the fourth thing we need to cover here, the brilliant basic, is stability allows for insight. If you can project the outcome, you can make a plan. If you can't project the outcome of any test or any result, then you can't possibly begin to measure the impact of any change that you might make. If you don't know how something's going to finish and you make an optimization, do you have any idea whether or not that made the end result better or worse? The answer to that is an emphatic no. If you don't have high confidence in the outcome of something, you can't possibly begin to guess whether or not the moves that you're making are good or bad, which basically means every optimization you make is just stacking more uncertainty on top of more uncertainty. There's no way you can move forward if you have no idea where you are. You're just going to chase your tail and be much worse off 6 months from now. The fifth basic that we need to get to here, and this might actually be the most important thing, is directional improvement, the concept of Kaizen. If you improve your ad account by 50% each month, in 6 months, your every day is going to be 20% better than if you 10x today right away. Let me put it to you another way. If you can add 2%, 3% of efficiency to your ad account on a weekly basis, on average, you are going to well more than triple your business over the period of a year. The idea is this: if you can make a slightly better decision slightly more often, or better put, if you can remove the amount of bad decisions that are made on a consistent basis, you're going to have to do less work, you're going to have a more stable result that you have higher confidence in, and that ultimately means more success. So why is scaling what works a problem? Because it means you don't have any control in your test. And ultimately it means that the best asset you have is going to get broken. Going back to our example before, if you have a factory of 10 employees and you've got one absolute great employee, and if you fire the other 9, do you really think that one employee is going to be able to match the output of the other 9 folks you had? Can one ad do the work of 10 ads if you make it do all of the work right away? Well, the answer to that is an emphatic no. That's completely impossible. That's just not going to happen because of a simple equation. Your bid in the ecosystem is budget and estimated action rate. Your one ad is going to do phenomenally against some folks. But when you make it spend 5, 10 times as much, there's not 5 to 10 as amount as people that it already knows how to do well against. So you're going to struggle and ultimately break what's working. To try to drive this home, let's use another example here. If you had a factory that can make 20 things a day and your best employee can make 12 out of those 20, you'll never get to making 50 things a day by asking that one best employee to work 4 times as hard. It's just not going to happen. And why would you expect Facebook to be any different? It's not just about having a blend. It's about making sure that everything does the amount of work that it can handle at an efficiency and quality that you like. To be honest, if you asked your best employee, or if your boss asked you to do 4 times the amount of work, maybe you get it done. But do you honestly think the quality of that work is going to come out in anywhere close to acceptable, when the reason they asked you to do that in the first place was because you were better than anyone else? No, that's ridiculous. Facebook is no different. So ultimately it comes down to this: what problem do you want to have? Let me know. A or B? Let's get down into it, because it's a choice. You can absolutely choose what type of problem you want to face on a regular basis. It's 100% your responsibility and up to you how you want to handle it. Problem A: you're going to scale what works, eventually breaking it, and have to solve the puzzle over and over again to maybe 10x today's results, knowing that you have to start over again and maybe building it back up every single time. Or do you want to make consistently better choices at a consistently higher volume to give you consistently higher quality impressions at the ecosystem and ultimately be more algorithmically aligned so that your worst day is still better than that one day that you 10x'd? Because that's the future you can have. That's how you scale a business. Which problem do you really want to face?